Because he wanted me to stay in that house and be secure.
She lost the love of her life and the home they built together in just a matter of weeks. A woman she hired to help care for her dying husband took over their home. With nowhere to turn, family members reached out to our Team 10 for help. And investigator Allison Ash has the bizarre turn of events that left a lifelong San Diegan homeless.
Fran and Alan Breslauer were married more than 60 years. Together, they built their home on Prosperity Lane in the College area. Together, they raised 2 daughters in that house, but age and poor health took a toll on Alan.
I needed help desperately. I couldn't lift him anymore.
So Fran hired live-in caregivers, 2 of them without a problem, and then a third, Cheryl. They found each other on Craigslist.
She spoke very nicely. She was on her best behavior. And I thought I was doing a benefit for her because she had a place to live with her dogs.
Cheryl and her dogs moved into Fran's art studio at the front of her home. She says it wasn't long before the relationship went south.
My husband came to me and he said, Cheryl's acting inappropriately. I said, Alan, what did she do? He says, I'm a gentleman. I can't tell you, but please fire her.
Fran says she tried with this note, but Cheryl didn't budge.
She got to be very nasty after that. Very foul-mouthed and very nasty.
Alan died in February. Cheryl's job as caregiver was over, but she refused to move out. It was not a happy home.
She blew up the hot water heater and I scalded my hands on it.
Both women filed for restraining orders against each other. Cheryl was granted hers after convincing a judge Fran shoved and punched her in a fit of rage.
I'm a lawyer and I feel helpless.
Fran's daughter is outraged that her mother is barred from making contact with the woman who now has taken over her home.
Because of the way the law and the statutory scheme is set up in California, I can't do anything to fix this situation except go through a long process where the defendant can delay and delay and delay. And meanwhile, my mother has had her only asset, which is her home, taken away from her.
I think that she's heartless. She's heartless. How can you do that to a 90-year-old widow?
We wanted to know, so we visited the house.
This is Cheryl here?
Who's this?
This is Allison from Channel 10.
I am not talking with you.
Can you tell me what's going on?
It appeared other people were living with Cheryl. This young woman had a key to the front gate, and we saw another passing from the studio to the front door. That's not all we saw. There was a lot of Cheryl's stuff littering the yard, like old appliances and what looked like a camper shell.
It looks like Lois Lobovia, or it looks like a junkyard now.
Fran now knows the woman she hired as a caregiver in her home was featured on an episode of Hoarding, Buried Alive.
This is my kitchen closet.
The program helped Cheryl get help, but neighbors told Team 10 stuff is always coming and going from the house since Fran left.
I don't want to see the damage.
Fran also has to pay all the utility bills because the law says this is Cheryl's legal address until a judge rules otherwise.
I want this over with and I need the house to be sold because I'm out of money.
It's not the way she and her husband pictured it.
The last thing he said to me was, honey, I know I'm going to go, but you'll have a lovely house to be in and you'll be safe and you'll be well in that house.
Fran is now staying with one of her daughters up in Oregon. She says she did have a background check done before Cheryl moved in, and there were no red flags. Her daughter says she's going to fight to get laws changed so this nightmare doesn't happen to your family. Allison Ash, Team 10.